Welcome back to the third episode of The Adventures of Golden Potato. In the last episode I started to remove parts from the front engine compartment to create more space around the engine. Those parts were the multi-battery isolator, the air filter and air filter housing, and the cruise control. It's time now to remove the radiator, so stay with me. The rear part of the radiator is covered by a piece of plastic that appears cracked and missing some parts. I want to remove it to give myself more visibility dealing with the radiator itself. I need to remove 4 bolts, 2 from the top and 2 from the bottom. With an 11mm long socket and the ratchet, I start to remove the first bolt. 1 bolt is already missing, and I'm confident I can remove the remaining 3 from the top. Then the second. And now the third and last one, because one is missing. Apologize for my arm blocking this amazing view. After laying down an excellent piece of cardboard specifically designed for this vehicle make, model and year, I easily slide under the carriage without the gravel wrecking my back. Next, I will detach the 2 metal pipes from the transmission oil. You heard me well. This radiator allowed the passage of transmission oil that flowed into a secondary radiator hidden on the front of the main one. If you follow the lines, you can see that both go into the transmission. From inside Potato, here is where those pipes end. And another view from under Potato. With a very strong WD-40 penetrant, I spray the rusty pipe connector and I wait about 10 minutes. With a 13mm wrench, I start to undo the connector that is starting to leak oil. I'm collecting the oil in a bucket. The bolt is taking forever to come off, but finally it gets removed. I leave the oil dripping with no rush. In the meantime, because I'm tired of having to deal with the rusty tools, I'm going to start to take care of these sockets. To de-rust the sockets, I'm going to use toilet bowl cleaner. It works like magic and it doesn't really matter what brand you use. I dispose the sockets with a certain criteria in a mug that I borrowed from Saint Joseph in person. He was not very happy, but it's okay. I try to keep the top level as low as possible, using as little cleaner as possible. Abundance is a privilege. The pouring of the magic blue liquid takes forever, but I don't want to remove the cap. I did it once and it took me forever to put it back in place. After 24 hours I decide to check the rusty sockets, and as you can see, they are not as rusty anymore. And the magic liquid will be reused for more rusty tools. Some sockets remain unreadable, but at least they are rust-free and ready to be stored in a dry place. Back to potato. It's time now to unplug the rubber hose of the oil filter from the pipeline. I'm going to use a simple flat screwdriver because gently asking to the fastener to do it by itself didn't work. Not an easy task without touching the camera, that is of course in the way. All for you guys, all for you. With the pliers I start to pull the rubber hose from the pipe, which is really tight. Going totally out of the shot, and I apologize for that, the rubber hose finally comes out. And I leave the lines to drain as much oil as possible from the circuit. Now, I know that I cannot remove the two lines because the shape of them, and they would not be able to slide out, but because I don't like those lines sticking out on my work area, I'm going to disconnect them from the transmission unit, and I will be able to slide them back as far as possible. I start cutting the fastener that keeps the lines together and remove this old useless red piece of rubber. With beautiful blue cutters, I remove the first fastener. The second one snapped by itself after almost 40 years. I'm ready to remove the upper connector from the transmission. And from the front I'm able to push the first line far back out of the way. Sneaking in with a 13mm wrench and banging the camera in the way from time to time, I'm going to remove the second lower connector from the transmission. And now I'm able to have both lines out of my way from the front. Finally, it's time to empty the water and coolant from the main radiator. After removing the tap from the top, I start to remove the fastener from the lowest rubber hose of the radiator with an 8mm wrench. The bucket is already in position. And the fastener is removed. With a screwdriver, I'm going to remove the fastener of the lower rubber hose. And now fighting to remove the hose. Here we go, the hose is off and it's interesting to see a spring inside. I think that its job is to maintain the odd shape forever. Let me know in the comment section if you know why they used to put springs inside the rubber hoses. Next, an easy one, the fastener of the upper rubber hose. And now the other side, where it is attached to the thermostat. Finally, I start to remove the bolts that attach the radiator to the frame. To remove the lower bolt from the other side, first I need to remove a rubber hose that passes in front of the bolt. The hose is from this pneumatic device, which I believe is out of order. I don't even know what it is yet. The bolt is removed, and from below I'm going to pull the rubber hose through the side of the radiator. Finally, I can remove the third bolt that is actually pretty loose already. And finally, the fourth and last bolt. I totally forgot to remove the last transmission oil hose, but it is in an easy location. I'm expecting some transmission oil to be squirted everywhere, and when I say everywhere, I mean everywhere. But it wasn't really that bad. The radiator is ready to be extracted, but the hood is too low and the radiator is very heavy. It probably still has some water inside. With the help of a piece of wood, the task is much easier. What remains is probably the radiator from the transmission oil. I don't think I will need to remove it. Now I have much more space to work in front of the engine. The radiator seems in good condition, with no real damage other than 35 years of rust. In the next video I will remove this crap piece of plastic, the trapezoidal belts and probably the alternator. Well, if you have watched this video to the end, thank you, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Again, thanks for watching and see you soon.